Digital Agriculture Mission. It is end to end. Basically, you're talking about a comprehensive scheme where you are focusing on digitalization aspects, creating identities for farmer, etc., so that the farmers will also be able to raise easy credit. Digital Agriculture Mission has a combination of both central sector as well as centrally sponsored. That means few aspects related to infrastructure building, even the state governments are going to push in money. What are the important aspects here? One is, what is the main objective or purpose? To bridge the infrastructure gaps and mobilize investment into agri-infrastructure. Aggressive credit will be given by banks for building agri-infrastructure. That time the period, I said, in 1 month period, they said 7,200 crores. So we'll push money through loans. But anything because of war or something, that will not be covered. But something related to post-harvest loss because of cyclones or a natural calamity, it is covered under the scheme. So Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan, it's been 10 years of Jan Dhan, and therefore it can be important for the exam. That is support the bank. You're supporting the bank. Interest subvention is a kind of not a loss for the bank. Reason being, it is because there is money coming from outside through the refinancing agency. Tenor premium can be different for based on the term of the loan. If the startup loan is for a longer period, then this tenor premium number would be higher. If the startup loan is for a shorter period, then this tenor premium number would be lower. Now, to fill the viability, to collect funds, some extra charges are levied on certain routes and government is collecting the fund. Okay, so it's not government is earning by putting some additional charges.
Most UPSC aspirants fail before they even begin. Here's how you avoid that. The mistake: they jump into preparation without a roadmap, a mentor, or a clear strategy. At Vision IS Delhi, we help you build your UPSC foundation the right way from day one. Get structured coverage, prelims, mains, CSAT and essay, all broken down step by step so nothing feels overwhelming. Smart current affairs with PT 365 and Mains 365. You focus only on what truly matters, no fluff. Personal mentorship, real one-on-one guidance to help you fix weak areas and boost what you're already good at. Test plus feedback loop, regular tests with detailed feedback so you never lose track of your progress. Don't start blind, start smart with Vision IS Delhi. This is where your serious UPSC journey begins. UPSC preparation is not just about reading books or watching online lectures. It requires personal guidance, real discussions, and structured practice. This is where offline mentoring makes all the difference. Unlike online learning, where doubts often remain unresolved, offline mentoring offers direct interaction, real-time feedback, and an environment of discipline and competition. One-to-one sessions help students get tailored advice, strategy corrections, and focused improvement. Every aspirant has different strengths and weaknesses. Personal mentoring helps address them effectively. Ground discussions sharpen analytical thinking and help students develop a multi-dimensional perspective on issues crucial for prelims, mains, and interview. Elocution sessions help in personality development, clarity of thought, and confidence, essential for UPSC interviews. Test writing is the most crucial part of UPSC preparation. It helps in time management,
structuring answers, and improving content quality. Offline mentoring is not just about teaching, it's about grooming future officers with the right guidance, discipline, and confidence. So if you are preparing for UPSC, make sure you have the right mentor by your side.
This is a schemes class, so today we'll have around like 2 hours, 15 minute session. There are, you have seen the document? No. Now the problem with schemes is, like, should we read all the schemes? Which one is important, which one is not important? And these are the aspects. Which one is important, nobody can say exactly like this is important. But one thing is, based on the previous questions, one theme which we can pull out is from President Madam's speech. So most of the schemes which are reflected here are generally coming in the exam. Generally. Now tomorrow you say, sir, whatever is given here has not come. But yes, this is what is the observation. Second thing is agriculture, a woman, and health. 3 areas. Of course, women and health, I'll not be doing it. We have segregated the schemes, but importance-wise, you have women-related schemes, health-related schemes, and agriculture-related areas. So these 3 become important. And if you see the last year's paper, there were direct questions that were asked, which were picked up from the speech. Okay, so that means we can't neglect speech. Now, this is one aspect. Second aspect could be, I'll talk about that, any increase in budget with respect to a certain aspect or any change with respect to departments or ministries, these things become important in the exam. Okay, so any specific change. Okay, so that means that any specific change, that particular area becomes important. Okay, so these are the 2 things which we have to keep in mind, right? Now, of course, I'll just glance through it. The speech is too big. I'll just glance through it. So this is basically here, of course, this is about Mahakumbh and again, UNESCO list. Here, of course, under the Swamitwa scheme, we have issued 2.25 crore property cards so far. Swamitwa, which ministry? Panchayat Raj. Panchayat Raj, right? Okay. So Swamitwa scheme that is clearly visible. Then see here, under the Ayushman Bharat, 6 crore senior citizens aged 70 years and above will receive health insurance with a health cover. So anything health is a very important theme. Remember this. There is question being asked regularly. Okay, and then Mudra scheme, Mudra. Okay, so PM Mudra, anyhow, we'll discuss that. I think today it will be coming, or maybe in the next class. For small entrepreneurs, the loan limit under Mudra scheme has been increased from 10 lakh rupees to 10 lakh to 20 lakh. Of course, this is for a particular aspect, Tarun. Okay, so where the loan amount has been increased from 10 to 20. That means this is a change which has been there. Therefore, it might come in the exam. Okay, and then PM Vidya Lakshmi scheme has been introduced to provide financial assistance to meritorious students for transparency and recruitment, etc. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. This is important. 4th phase of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak. Government has sanctioned 70,000 crore rupees to connect 25,000 habitations as the country celebrates centenary year of Atalji's birth. The Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana continues to embody his vision. Okay, so that means Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, yes, I should know something about it, you have to read it. Okay, then, of course, this is not related to scheme, later you can go through. Then, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, ration for 80 crore needy citizens, and the Saubhagya Yojana, Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission is also important, I expected last year, but they have not asked. Okay, so is that okay? Jal Jeevan Mission. Then UDAN, today I think UDAN, you know the stages in UDAN. Yeah, UDAN, about 1.5 crore people have fulfilled their dream of flying in airplanes. And Jan Aushadhi Kendras offering medicines at 80% concessional rates. Is that okay? So these are again few. Then women-led development, drone Didi Yojana has become a medium for economic and technological empowerment of women. Okay, so just like, of course, you may say, sir, all the schemes are visible. All the schemes are not visible in the speech. Okay, so most of the schemes are not visible, in fact, and where there is a stress, that becomes important. For example, here, Startup, Stand-Up India, Ministry of Finance, okay, and Digital India. Digital India program, already prelims question was asked. I'll show you the questions, okay, so that is one area. Okay, of course, this is a space sector, this is current affairs, later you can see. Then Atal Tinkering Labs have been established in schools, 10,000. Okay, so all this is clearly visible, like what is important we can identify. Another one, credit guarantee scheme for micro, small and medium enterprises. MSME important in the budget, new classification of MSMEs, that is the investment limit has been changed now in the budget. So that is a change that has been brought in. Second, there is a clear mention of this scheme and therefore that it becomes important. Okay, then ONDC, then you have PM Swanidhi and credit guarantee scheme. These are the areas when it comes to micro, small and medium enterprises. So I mentioned health important. Anything related to health, that means, and women and child development, these things become important. When it comes to agriculture, in the budget also there is a discussion on oil seed and pulses. Okay, so Atmanirbharata with respect to pulses. Okay, so that was a program that is there. Okay, and enhance oilseed production and achieve self-reliance. National Mission on Oilseeds has been approved. Earlier also there was, so we import a lot of which oil? Palm oil, followed by soya bean. We produce maximum of mustard. So some facts already they have asked in the exam. To provide easy loans to backward sections of the society and sanitation workers, okay, the scope of PM Suraj Yojana has been expanded. This is what is the line there. Okay, so that means this one again important. Okay, the Namaste Yojana launched for sanitation workers has been extended to include all those who take up the noble responsibility of cleanliness. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, Vivad Se Vishwas initiative has been launched to resolve disputes. This anyhow you know, Vivad Se Vishwas is resolving tax disputes, etc. Right? So I think we have come across some 10 to 15 schemes maybe. Okay, till here. Okay. Under the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, the rooftop solar systems are being installed at a cost of 75,000 crore rupees. So far, over 7.5 lakh homes have been installed rooftop solar systems. And National Green Hydrogen Mission. Of course, this you'll discuss in another ministry. Right, is this clear? So, that's it. So from the madam's speech, these are the important areas. I think it is clear, okay? So this is the first thing, so that you get to know where we have to focus. Okay, then what is asked? What is asked when it comes to schemes? Okay, so is it that everything I have to read? Definitely not. What are the things I have to leave? Numbers, data, much of numbers and data I will leave. I'll not worry about numbers and data. Okay, why? Because anyhow you can't remember. Okay, so the area of what they are focusing, one is, in most of the schemes you observe that one is the objective of the scheme, the main objective of the scheme. What is the main objective? We'll see the questions, you'll understand. Second is the nodal agency, the implementing agency or the nodal agency for that particular scheme. Then third, the beneficiaries of the scheme. Beneficiaries who are benefiting from that particular scheme. For example, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, you say all the land owning farmers. But when we talk about fasal bima yojana, so we say not only the land owning farmers, it's for tenant farmers, sharecroppers, is it there? Yes. So basically beneficiaries is one area where we have to focus, objective of the scheme and the implementing nodal agency of the scheme. Another important aspect is any change in the budget or any focus. I'll talk about the schemes in the budget in the subsequent class. So anything in the budget where there was a specific mention, that area becomes important. For example, oil seeds, pulses, there was a mention, clear mention. So these things become important. Any schemes related to these becomes important for the exam. Now I've written something like there is no replacement to common sense. The reason being, in spite of reading schemes, there are many questions which we can answer without knowing the scheme. So after reading the schemes, it should be something like, yes, I've read it, so I'll try to use it, but first my logic should work. Okay, so Kisan credit card, now also it is important because there's discussion about Kisan credit card programs in the budget as well. So if you look at such questions, Kisan credit card scheme, short-term credit support is given to farmers for which of the following purposes? Okay, so this was the question. Just to tell you that without knowing the Kisan credit card scheme, I can mark the answer. That is the only logic behind putting this. Okay, so for example, if you say the word short-term credit is given, that means construction of family house and setting up of village cold storage facilities will not be there. That is like a capital aspect. So obviously this one has to be eliminated. Is that okay? Then working capital for maintenance of farm assets, that's okay. Maintenance expenditure, yes, it is covered. Okay. Consumption requirements of farm households. Consumption requirements are short-term, yes. Then post-harvest expenses. Yes, post-harvest expenses, no problem there. Purchase of combine harvesters, tractors and trucks. No. Are you able to get this? Now to answer this question, I just need to know what is short-term and what is the consumption aspect, what is the capital aspect. When I'm able to figure out that, I can mark the answer without knowing the scheme also. That means after reading schemes and still I will use my logic. So that is the only thing. That's the reason I've pushed this question. Is that okay? Everybody has understood that? Okay, yes. So then there are options in the exam clearly given. Of course, you may say, sir, nowadays question papers have changed. That's a different thing, but still logic works always. Okay, so for example, which of the following are the aims of Digital India plan of the Government of India? Aim. So it said aim, objective, okay, and then the nodal agency, okay, and sometimes ministries. These are the areas where we have to focus. Now here also, this particular question also, we can easily eliminate the answer by without knowing anything about the plan. So for example, formation of India's own internet companies like China did. With one scheme, you can't do that. Okay, so that is too much. Establish a policy framework to encourage overseas multinational corporations that collect big data to build their large data centers within our national geographical boundaries. Too much of an ask. You're asking too much. Big data, okay. Connect many of our villages to the internet and bring Wi-Fi to many of our schools, public places and major tourist centers. So for this also I don't need any scheme, right? Okay, so that is what I wanted to mention. So Atal Innovation Mission is set up under, so this is basically Niti Ayog. So like that. So this is basically, one is observe, they're asking for the aim, etc. And these are basically logic-based questions, so common sense has to work, though I read all the schemes. Okay. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Maternity Benefit Amendment Act? Okay, so now if you look at the questioning pattern, what is the aim of the program Unnat Bharat Abhiyan? Aim, again, questioning is on aim. Okay, what is the purpose of Vidyanjali Yojana? Aim, purpose, objective. Are you able to get that? Okay, so this is how the questioning pattern is. So what is that I have to see when I'm reading schemes? Obviously, one is ministry, right? Then beneficiaries of the scheme. Who are the beneficiaries of the scheme? What is the aim? Okay, then any change in the budget, increase or decrease, or any change with respect to the departments. So these are the areas which, what is that I leave? Too much of data. Anyhow, we can't remember. We will try to use logic in the exam rather than cramming data. That's not possible. Though you cram also, it's very difficult. Okay, so is that clear? Now, what are the different types of schemes? Basically, one is the central sector scheme. Okay, and then you have the centrally sponsored scheme. So when you're reading some of the schemes, you should be able to identify. Okay, you need not mug up, but you'll be able to identify which one is central sector, which one is a centrally sponsored. So centrally sponsored schemes generally are implemented by the state, and funding is there. Center state funding is there. Okay, there are different schemes like core schemes, etc. That's not required, but this is something like centrally sponsored. We'll note on like centrally sponsored and central sector schemes. These are the observations which we do. Okay, is that clear till here? So before starting schemes related to agriculture, so agriculture is one big area. Okay, so where questions, agriculture is important. As I mentioned, agriculture, health, women. Okay, so you may say finance also is important, but these are the main three themes where questions are coming. So when we look at agriculture, one is what are the main problems in agriculture if I am able to identify, and there are schemes related to those problems. So one is farmers, this is the supply chain of agriculture. There is input, then there is output, okay, and once the harvest is done, okay, so farmer can sell it in the market, and after the produce is out, he has to store it. That means there should be efficient storage mechanism. But now, can farmer store everything? Farmer cannot store everything. Okay, so because of maybe perishable items, etc., there may be a problem. So either he has to go to access the cold storage facilities, or he can directly sell it in the mandi. Okay, so now the problem here is good infrastructure is very much required, and in the budgets earlier, and there is this program, Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, which tries to strengthen the infrastructure aspect related to agriculture. Is that okay? Then in the mandi, there are a lot of problems. You have come up with APMC Model Act, etc., and subsequently a lot of reforms with respect to APMCs and ENAM and other programs here with respect to agri-marketing. Okay, so 2018 we have come up with doubling farmers' income, and one of the important aspect Ashok Dalwai committee was talking about is also, one is if you want to double farmers' income, one is you have to focus on agri-exports. You have to double agriculture exports by 30 billion to 60 and then touch 100 billion. That means agriculture export policy has become one important aspect. And second is he also talks about infrastructure related aspects. Now, there are a lot of risks involved for the farmer. So when we talk about risk involved for the farmer, the crop may not come to his hand. And therefore, government programs and schemes like fasal bima yojana become important. Fasal bima yojana, insurance is required. Okay, now fasal bima yojana, we'll talk about that. What are the questions already asked, and what is the focus of fasal bima yojana, etc. Now then, if efficiency with respect to the overall agriculture system has to improve, then recently government started digital agriculture mission. Digital agriculture mission. It is end to end. Basically, you're talking about a comprehensive scheme where you are focusing on digitalization aspects, creating identities for farmer, etc., so that the farmers will also be able to raise easy credit. And even if it integrates most of the schemes, in fact, most of the schemes will become efficient because of digital agriculture mission, right? Then for the farmer, when it comes to inputs, many a times farmer has a lot of problems. Okay, so all around 12 months getting income is very difficult. So there should be a proper income support system for the farmer, and that is the reason you have Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Is that okay? Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. So that is one important aspect here. And then when it comes to inputs, there are different inputs. One is seeds, then fertilizers or pesticides, etc. And here government has come up with nutrient-based subsidy programs around 2010. So there are a lot of issues with respect to the ideal ratios of NPK, maintenance of 4:2:1, etc. So here in this particular area, again, government is focusing on. Okay, and then when it comes to inputs, one of the input is water and irrigation facilities. And with respect to irrigation facilities, government is focusing on micro irrigation or more crop per drop. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojana. So there is a lot of discussion on making water more efficient. Okay, so this is basically, China is also not producing rice. something like water intensive crops. China started importing rice. Okay, so these are all measures which Government of India is also working on with respect to efficient irrigation. It is also an input. Okay, working on seeds, high yield variety seeds, fertilizer, nutrient based subsidy programs, pesticides, etc. And then natural farming related aspects, the focus on natural farming, etc. Okay, so these are some to understand. There are, and then see here, after the storage aspect, either it can go to the cold storage or he can sell it in the mandi, or maybe the farmer may decide, let me process it. Okay, so that is basically value addition. And with respect to value addition, I'm talking about food processing industries here. So there are several schemes related to food processing industries. Okay, and then food processing, after the food is processed, either you can export it or sell it in the domestic market. So once the clear supply chain is there, then we'll see where what is important and which scheme will fit in to solve which problem. Is that okay? Okay. Digital agriculture mission. So we are very clear what to look in. So when we talk about digital agriculture mission, government has come up with a total outlay of how much? 2,817 crores. Of course, here 1,940 crores is from the center. Okay, and the remaining part would be taken care by the state. So that means digital agriculture mission has a combination of both central sector as well as centrally sponsored. That means few aspects related to infrastructure building, even the state governments are going to push in money. Okay, so here what is the purpose? The purpose is to build a digital agriculture ecosystem with innovative solutions and timely, reliable crop and farmer information. Okay, so that is the main, so that means you're trying to build an agri ecosystem. That is the main purpose of digital agriculture mission. Okay, and tenure 5 years, 21-22 to 25-26. Who is the beneficiary? Obviously, farmers. And it's a combination of centrally sponsored as well as central sector schemes. I think till there is. So what is the main focus with respect to digital agriculture mission? So the main focus is, it has three important aspects. What are the three important aspects? One is the agri-stack. Heard of agri-stack? Okay, so one is the agri-stack. What is this agri-stack basically? So agri-stack has three important things. Okay, so one is it creates an identity for the farmer, which we call it as the farmer's registry. So unique identity number is given to the farmer, and once that number is pushed in, all the data related to the farmer is clearly visible. Okay, similar to Aadhaar structure, and it is linked to state's land records. Okay, and complete consolidated family details are collected. Okay, so this is basically, we call it as farmer's registry. So when we talk about agri-stack, it is part of the digital public infrastructure, DPI. Okay, and it has three important aspects. One is it maintains the farmer's registry. That is, it is like creating an identity for the farmer. That is the first thing. Okay, second is crop sown registry. Okay, so that means you are having the data of what is the crop sown by the farmer. Complete data is collected. And mobile-based digital crop surveys are done and complete information is taken. Tomorrow, if there is a problem, it is easier for the government to help the farmer also in terms of insurance and other aspects because of the crop sown registry. Okay, so dynamic agricultural data tracking, comprehensive crop cultivation insights. So government can also give recommendations to the farmer, provided I have the complete data with respect to the crops sown. Is that okay? That is the second part of the agri-stack. And then the third part is you also have a geo-referenced village maps. So these are the three. So village level classification, digital mapping of entire villages is done. Okay, and you have a precise geographical positioning and you will be able to monitor things well. So these are the three aspects of agri-stack, which is the first component of digital agriculture mission. Is that okay? Which is the agri-stack, which has one farmer's registry, crop zone registry, and geo-reference village maps. Okay, so here if you see, the programs have under the scheme are, one is agri-stack, then we have Krishi Decision Support System. This is the second aspect. So what is this Krishi Decision Support System? So once you have collected the data related to weather, soil, crops, okay, so it supports crop mapping, diversification and insurance claims aligned with National Geospatial Policy. Okay, so here, if you look at the decision support system, once everything is mapped, you have complete data available, modeling for crop yield and insurance, groundwater availability data, geospatial data and weather satellite data, drought flood monitoring, etc. All this can be done. Is that okay? So this is part of my Krishi Decision Support System. So one is the Agri Stack, second is Krishi Decision Support System. And then you have Nationwide Soil Resource Mapping Project. These are the three aspects of the scheme. Is that okay? So Nationwide Soil Resource Mapping, Agri Stack and Krishi Decision Support System. This is the main focus. Is this clear till here? Okay. We'll come to this scheme. This is a small scheme. Okay. Now, so once we have checked the supply chain of agriculture, one of the important aspect is what? Infrastructure. And last year also there was a lot of discussion on Agri Infrastructure Fund. And this year there is a discussion with respect to the expansion of this fund. Okay, expansion of Agri Infrastructure Fund. Now, what are the important aspects here? One is, what is the main objective or purpose? To bridge the infrastructure gaps. The objective is very clear. The purpose of this particular AIF is to bridge the infrastructure gaps and mobilize investment into agri infrastructure. That is the purpose, right? Now, it is a central sector scheme and the nodal agency, NABARD. Nodal agency for the scheme is NABARD. Is that okay? So nodal agency for the scheme is NABARD. Tenure is basically, they came up with the tenure earlier as 10 years. That is around from till 2032. Okay. So now, before coming to who are the beneficiaries of the scheme. So as I mentioned, one is the aim and objective of the scheme. Then comes the nodal agency of the scheme. Then the beneficiaries of this particular scheme. Then whether it is a central sector scheme or a centrally sponsored scheme. It is a central sector scheme. So these are the things first which we will observe. Now, last year there was a program that they have launched under the Agri Infrastructure Fund. That is called as the Bharat Campaign. Okay, so what is this Bharat Campaign? Banks heralding accelerated rural and agricultural transformation. That means what? Aggressive credit will be given by banks for building agri infrastructure. That time the period, I said in 1 month period, they said 7,200 crores. So we'll push money through loans. And it is not just the commercial banks, you will have RRBs. Okay, so you have other banks like the RRBs also participating along with the commercial banks in terms of giving loans as part of the Bharat campaign. Okay, so provides maximum benefits to people, create a competitive spirit among the banks and lending institutions to mobilize agriculture infrastructure projects loan at a faster pace. Within a prescribed time limit, they have come up with this Bharat campaign to channelize loans towards agri infrastructure, and there is participation from different entities, not just the commercial banks, but also there are other banks which have participated with respect to lending. So this is the Bharat campaign. I hope it is clear, right? Now, who are the beneficiaries? Basically, who are the beneficiaries of this particular scheme? Some key beneficiaries of the scheme. One is our self-help groups beneficiaries. Yes, they will benefit from the scheme. Then farmer producer organizations, FPOs, right? And then primary agricultural credit societies and also farmers. So they are the beneficiaries, FPOs, state agencies, APMCs, self-help groups, farmer producer organizations and primary agriculture credit societies. They are the beneficiaries of this particular scheme. that okay till there? Okay. So what is the aim of this particular program? We'll look at some background here. Not much of here, we'll not get into too much of detail, but few things which we will remember. So one is, see here, Agri Infrastructure Fund was launched as part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, announced by the center in May 2020. We not remember exactly, but I think it should be clear around 2020, right? And provision of rupees 1 lakh crore by banks and financial institutions as loans with interest subvention of 3% per annum. Interest subvention of 3% per annum, that is basically interest subsidy of 3% per annum. Now, it is also part of like credit guarantee coverage. I'll discuss this trust separately in the MSME discussion. Credit guarantee coverage under the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for MSME for loans up to 2 crore. Loans up to 2 crore. Separate, this is basically, what is the benefit of this Credit Guarantee Fund Trust? What does it do? In absence of any collateral, they can refinance. It is acting like a support system for the lender. Support system for the lender so that the lender can give loans. Is that okay? So that is basically the credit guarantee coverage under the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for MSMEs for loans up to 2 crores. Now, why is it in discussion now? This is basically Agri Infrastructure Fund. There is an expansion in the scheme. Okay. So what is the expansion in the scheme? In the sense here, you are focusing on several aspects like viable farming assets. Okay. So that is basically extended credit coverage for financial credits, financial security of farmer producer organizations. Okay. So this is basically one aspect. Viable farming assets, you're building integrated processing projects. Okay. And PM Kusum integration. PM Kusum integration is basically using solar and these things for agriculture. Are able to get this? And then integrated processing projects, expanded scope for primary and secondary processing. That means as part of Agri Infrastructure Fund, is the processing aspects included? Yes. Building infrastructure related to processing projects? Yes. Viable farming assets, building viable farming assets? Yes. Okay. Enhanced credit guarantee for viable farming assets, integrated processing projects, and also enhanced credit guarantee. Okay. Is that clear? So these are the expansion aspects. So one is Bharat. Second, what is the aim? Building infrastructure. Then central sector scheme. Okay. And which one is the nodal agency for the scheme? NABARD. As part of Bharat, basically different banks, aggressive mechanism of lending for agri infrastructure. Okay. And then there is a support system also here. Support system basically through the credit guarantee fund. Credit guarantee coverage under Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro, small and medium enterprises. See, extended credit guarantee coverage for FPOs through NAB Samrakshan, improving the financial security and credit worthiness. This is basically a credit scheme. Okay, NAB Samrakshan is a credit scheme under which you're lending money. Is this clear till here? Okay. I think Agri Infrastructure Fund is clear. Okay. And let's go to the next one. See, this is simple scheme. AgriSURE, Agri Fund for Startup and Rural Enterprises. Okay, AgriSURE is what? Agri Fund for Startups and Rural Enterprise Scheme. The word itself is very clear. Okay, so here you are focusing on startups, agri startups and rural enterprises. Okay, now what is the main purpose of this particular scheme? So the main purpose of this scheme, to support innovative, high risk, high impact activities in agriculture and allied areas. Okay, so that is what. Then who are the fund sponsors? The fund sponsors here, one is Government of India, two NABARD. Are you able to get this? Fund sponsors, government and NABARD. Okay. And investment manager is NAB Ventures, a wholly owned subsidiary of NABARD. It's a wholly owned subsidiary of NABARD. If you see this box here, okay, so the structure and management of AgriSURE fund. Okay, so you have the total corpus is how much? 750 crore. The total corpus is 750 crore. Okay, and the fund is managed by whom? NAB Ventures, which is the wholly owned subsidiary of NABARD. So, okay, the fund is managed by. And now you see here, government around 250 crore, okay, and NABARD around 250, and private entities, it can be private investors or banks or insurance companies which are bringing in around 250 crore. So overall, if you observe, it is how much corpus for the agri startup? It is 750 crore, and the funds are managed by NAB Ventures. Is that okay? So now come back here. What is the main objective? Foster investment in agriculture and rural startups by supporting alternate investment funds. Now question is alternate investment funds. What are these alternate investment funds? See, alternate investment funds also has angel investments, venture capital funds. Are you able to get this? Alternate investment funds has angel investments and venture capital funds. Now, for example, earlier prelims there was a question on InvITs. InvIT? What is this InvIT? Infrastructure Investment Trust. Okay. Now, one of the statement in the exam was, okay, so the borrowings done by InvIT, this trust basically, will be treated as, that entity would be treated as a borrower under SARFAESI Act. SARFAESI Act? Okay. It will be treated as borrower under the SARFAESI Act. Second is, in the budget, there was a change that was made that point of time, that even dividends and interest payments, both will be taxed. That was a change in the budget. Okay. Earlier, dividends and interest payments, so dividends were not taxed. And there was a change that was brought in the budget with respect to taxing it. And that is the reason that question was asked. Are you able to get this? Okay. So here also one important observation is, one is it is for support innovative high risk activities, agreed. And the funding sponsors are basically government and NABARD. And it is handled by a wholly owned subsidiary of NABARD, that is NAB Ventures. Total is how much? 750 crore, 250 crore government, 250 crore NABARD, and another 250 crore would be private. Any private, it can be insurance entities, banks, or maybe other private entities. Okay, so till there I think it is clear. Now, to strengthen farm produce value chains for better profits through profitable backward and forward linkages. And it will also help in creating jobs, obviously. Okay, because it's an agri startup, obviously you will be able to create better jobs, and you will also be able to retain and attract youth to agriculture. Of course, these things you need not remember, just for info. Foster investment in agriculture and rural startups by supporting alternate investment fund. Now, that is something which you have to remember. So, this particular AgriSURE has a legal status of the fund is, it is registered as a category 2 alternate investment fund with SEBI. This is a fact which I will remember. Okay, so like the InvIT is seen as a borrower under the SARFAESI Act, right? But this fund basically is registered as a category 2 alternate investment fund with SEBI. So you have different categories in the alternate investment funds. Okay, and this one falls under the category 2 of AIFs. Alternate investment funds are obviously risky funds. Okay, and venture capitalists, angel investment funds, these are all part of the alternate investment fund. Now coming back here, there are two other small schemes under this. One is you have the AgriSURE direct scheme, and then you have the AgriSURE fund of fund schemes. Okay, so you don't get into too much of details of corpus and other things, but this is the background of AgriSURE. Okay, so I think it is clear. So this is about AgriSURE Agri Fund for Startup and Rural Enterprises scheme. So important aspects, funding agencies, okay, and fund managed by whom, the purpose, and its legal status. Legal status is, it is treated as, fund is registered as a category 2 alternate investment fund, total corpus 750. That's more than sufficient. Is that clear? Yes. We'll come to this cluster development program. Okay, so before we come to this is cluster development program or CDP Suraksha to disperse subsidies to horticulture. There was a mention of this by Madam also. Okay, cluster development program mention was there. Madam has mentioned this. It's a small scheme. Before we come to this, we'll first. National Mission for Edible Oil. National Mission for Edible Oil, oil palm. Okay. So when it comes to edible oils, there is a discussion in the budget also. Okay. And earlier there was a prelims question that was already asked. The question statement was something like India produces more of palm oil than it imports. So that is a right statement or a wrong statement? Obviously a wrong statement. So we import more than we produce. Okay, so very clear, right? So this is how they were asking. And we import a lot of palm oil and then subsequently followed by soya bean. Okay, so that is the order. And we produce maximum of mustard oil. Okay, so this is some data. Now here we want to become Atmanirbhar with respect to edible oils also. Okay, so that is one important aspect which we are focusing on. And that is the main focus of this particular scheme also. If you look at the purpose of the scheme, to reduce dependence on edible oil imports. Very clear. That means you want to become Atmanirbhar with respect to edible oil. And the purpose of the scheme is also very clear, that to reduce dependence on edible oil imports. Is that okay? Then it is a centrally sponsored scheme and special focus regions obviously Northeast and Andaman. Okay. Now, what is the main objective? You want to increase the edible oil seed production by harnessing oil palm area expansion. That is the main objective. That means you want to produce oil domestically by focusing on area expansion primarily. Okay, area expansion, that is primarily. So here if you see current area of 3.5 lakh hectares, your target is 10 lakh hectares. This is the target. Okay, so with respect to area expansion, I think it is clear. There is no confusion here, very simple. Okay, so you can see here the breakdown with respect to increase. It is higher for the northeastern states. There is a special focus on northeastern states. Okay. Now, production target, crude palm oil production target is 11.2 lakh tons by 2025-26. Okay, so significant increase in production. It is aligned with the expansion strategy. You're expanding it and you have to increase the production. Then there is also a focus on consumption, per capita consumption. This is the focus as part of the scheme. Maintaining consistent consumption and driving awareness campaigns. Okay, so that means the scheme basically, here you are going to become Atmanirbhar through area expansion and increasing the production target. Is that okay? So that is something which we have to remember. Okay, so enhance the edible oil production by harnessing oil palm area expansion. Okay, so of course there is some data here. Okay, it produces two distinct oils, palm oil and palm kernel oil, which are used for culinary as well as industrial purposes. India currently imports 57% of total edible oil. Some data. India currently imports 57% of the total Okay, domestic supply is 12.4 million tons, whereas import is around 16.5. Okay, so that is about the scheme. Is that okay? So that's sufficient. So this is what is the main focus? Okay, what is the purpose of the scheme? Okay, yes. You have the you don't have the document with you? Okay. I think you can download it later. Okay, so. Okay, next one. PM Fasal Bima Yojana. PM Fasal Bima Yojana. Now, why is it under discussion here? Here we can see enrollment under Fasal Bima Yojana saw an increase of 27% as compared to the previous financial year. Now, one more year it has been extended. This scheme, is it present there now? Yes, it has been extended for one more year. Okay. Now, if I look at some questions earlier, okay, so this was one question. With respect to Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, consider the following statements. Okay, so here you can see under this scheme, farmers will have to pay a uniform premium of 2% for any crop they cultivate in any season of the year. Okay, so farmers will have to pay a uniform premium, which is wrong. Are you able to get this? Farmers will have to pay a uniform premium is the wrong statement here. I think you can see here. Okay. Now, very clear observation. That is a wrong statement. Is that clear? Okay. The scheme covers post-harvest losses arising out of cyclones and unseasonal rains. That means I should know what are the things the scheme is going to cover. The scheme covers these aspects like post-harvest losses as well as arising out of cyclones. That means a natural calamity. But anything because of war or something, that will not be covered. But something related to post-harvest loss because of cyclones or a natural calamity, it is covered under the scheme. Okay. So this is how the questioning was done earlier, already done. So we'll first see here. Okay. So what is the purpose of this particular scheme? Comprehensive crop insurance from pre-sowing to post-harvest. That means post-harvest loss, is it covered? Yes. Understood? Post-harvest loss, is it covered? Yes, it is covered. It is a central sector scheme. That is one important observation. Then who are the beneficiaries of the scheme? Who are the beneficiaries of the scheme? All farmers, including sharecroppers as well as tenant farmers. It's not land-owning farmers. When I look at Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, it is land-owning farmers. So here it is not land-owning farmers, it is all farmers. That is one important observation. Okay. So what is the main objective of the program? Okay. So objective, financial support to farmers. Okay. Suffering crop losses, damage, stabilizing their income, etc. And ensuring flow of credit to agricultural sector. If there is crop insurance, getting credit also becomes simple. Okay, so this is basically the main objective of this Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Now, are oil seeds covered on this under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana? Yes. So that can see here. Oil seeds, is it covered? Yes. Pulses? Yes. Millets and all cereals. That is observation here. Okay. All cereals, millets, pulses as well as oil seeds. Is that clear? Okay. Then premium is paid as a percentage of sum assured or the rate fixed by the insurance companies. Okay, so that is, now what is the premium to be paid? Okay, so here premium, now is there any interest subsidy given to farmers in terms of payment made when it comes? Yes, it is given. Okay, so yes, it is given. So interest subsidy with respect to payments, is it there? Yes, it is there. Okay. Then premium by farmers 5% for commercial horticulture crops, 2% for kharif crops, 1.5 for rabi. Are you able to observe this? Horticulture 5, 2% for kharif and 1.5 for. Okay, premium by the government which is shared between center and state. That is there a subsidy given by the government in terms of payment? Yes, and it is shared between center and state. Now this is 50:50 for rest of the states and 90:10 for northeastern. Okay, so now most important observation here that was already asked. Is it that only crops with MSP will be insured, or non-MSP crops are they going to be insured? So non-MSP crops are also insured as part of the fasal bima yojana. That is clear observation here. Is that okay? Yes. Then what is the risk coverage which we see in the fasal bima yojana? Okay, so risk coverage, when I see, suppose if it is war, nuclear, okay, now suddenly nowadays rivers are also going off, lakes are also going off, and suddenly you don't find it. Okay, in some states, I'll not mention any state. Okay, so theft, you call it as theft. Or okay, so and tomorrow morning you get up, the lake is missing. Okay, so that can also happen, and that thing will not be covered. Your crop is missing suddenly, theft, it is not covered. Okay, similarly war risks, these are not covered. Okay, but war risk is not covered. Okay, but wildlife damage, okay, but grazing risk, grazing, okay, that will not be covered. But wildlife damage, is it covered? Wild animal attacks, yes, it is covered. Okay, and localized calamities, landslides, etc., they are covered. Okay, post-harvest losses, post-harvest loss due to cyclones, this was the question. Where is it? Yield losses from drought, flood, inundation, yes. Yes. Standing crop protection, okay, from drought, dry spell, flood, inundation, etc., that is covered, yes. Okay, post-harvest loss coverage, yes, it is done. And here you can see hailstorms, cyclones, these are all natural. And that was the question that they have asked, okay. Is that clear? Yes.
Stop wasting hours on scattered current affairs preparation. Visionized Digital Current Affairs Premium gives you AI-powered answers, expert feedback, and structured revision all in one place. Instant AI answers, no more endless searches, get precise syllabus-aligned insights in seconds. Daily answer writing, expert feedback to sharpen your mains responses. Quick notes and highlights, organize, revise, and retain key concepts effortlessly. Plus, free features. Daily news summaries from the Hindu and Indian Express, quizzes and MCQs to test your progress, and downloadable PDFs for seamless revision. Study smarter, not harder. To know more, visit our website now.
Preparing for the UPSC Civil Services examination demands a solid grasp of every mains paper. Among them, the optional subject paper plays a crucial role in determining your final rank. A strong command over your optional subject can give you the competitive edge needed for success. To help you master this crucial aspect, Vision IAS presents the Optional Classroom Program 2026, available in live online and classroom offline modes for Geography, Sociology, Political Science and International Relations. Batch starts from 20th June, 2 p.m.
this is in one go. If you want to read later, this will be uploaded, then you can read it later, right? So this is launched in 2016, replacing the National Agriculture Insurance Scheme and modified National Agriculture Insurance Scheme. Okay, I said these are the last, if we have come up with this at the end, that is important, this just for reference. Farmers, including sharecroppers, tenant farmers, everybody is eligible. Premium to be paid is different for different crops, and it is higher for commercial horticulture especially. Okay, and it covers post-harvest losses as well. The scheme is implemented by empaneled general insurance companies. The selection of the implementing agency is done by the concerned state governments through bidding. Okay, so that is use of technology. Crop insurance app is there. Okay, and PM Fasal Bima Yojana portal for integration of land records. All this is also there. That means technological integration is also there. And the scheme, is it compulsory or voluntary? Voluntary. Okay, yeah, voluntary, yes. So scheme has been made completely voluntary. Earlier it was compulsory for loan farmers availing crop loan, kisan credit card, etc. Is that okay? Yes. The center decided to limit its premium subsidy to 30% for unirrigated. This is okay. Okay, more flexibility provided to states to select any number of additional risk covers, features like prevented sowing, localized calamities, etc. Okay, so this is the background, and this is an important scheme. Clear till there? So first you will read schemes underlined in the President Madam's address. Okay, and once you have read those, then second would be reading budget related aspect. Then if time permits, then read all the schemes, whichever like you want to read. All the schemes related to, most of the schemes related to agriculture, women and health have to be read. So that these things we'll keep in mind. And still there is something coming up, then we can't do anything. Okay, so this is how it is. Like most of the time schemes, last time I think there was schemes related question also, that was also related to women and child development. Okay, so that was a question. Okay, fine, come back now. See, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Okay, now how? Okay. Retrospective effect, all that, 2018, all that is okay. Now what to look into when we look into this scheme? One is over 1 lakh farmers voluntarily gave up this scheme. Okay, so benefits last year. Okay, so first of all, who are the beneficiaries? All land holding farmers subject to certain exclusion. All land owning farmers subject to certain exclusions. Okay, so there are certain exclusions which are clearly given here. You can see here. Okay, so all persons who paid income tax in the last assessment year, professionals, all serving or retired officers of government, okay, all institutional land holders, okay, and former and present holders of constitutional posts, prisoners who monthly pension is about 10,000 or more. So these are what, like, though farmer's family excluded. Is that okay? All persons who paid income tax or professionals, etc. So these are excluded, but the eligibility is all land holding farmers subject to certain exclusions, right? Now it is a central sector scheme, okay? Who will identify the beneficiaries? State and union governments are responsible in terms of identification of beneficiaries. Okay. Land records mandatory, exceptions for forest dwellers, northeastern states and Jharkhand with special land record provisions. Is that okay? Kisan credit card provided to PM Kisan beneficiaries for short-term loans with a 4% interest on timely repayment. Preventing fund misuse includes physical verification of 5% beneficiaries annually, Aadhaar authentication and income tax payee verification. Of course, all this they'll manage. Okay, so grievance redressal, complaint should be resolved within 2 weeks by the grievance redressal committee. Is there a grievance redressal mechanism in place? Yes, grievance redressal mechanism in place, and it should be resolved within 2 weeks by the grievance redressal committee. Is that okay? Yes. Yes. Institutional land holding is basically not individual. Suppose let's say sugar farms. Okay, so these are institutional holdings. So when it is not individual, and institutional holdings have huge lands, and these things are exempted. Okay. We'll come to this. We'll go back to the previous scheme. Till here, I think there's no confusion. Only agriculture has a lot of schemes, and finance also has a lot of schemes. Rest of the ministries are where we have very few schemes. Okay. Cluster development program. So this is basically, you have a cluster development program in MSME also, micro, small and medium enterprises. This is basically, you have CDP, cluster development program, Suraksha, to disperse subsidies to horticulture farmers. Okay, that is the main thing here. Government has launched a new digital platform, that is cluster development program Suraksha, to disperse subsidies to horticulture farmers. Is that okay? So now here you can see it is a central sector scheme, and the implementing nodal agency is National Horticulture Board. Nodal agency, National Horticulture Board. Okay. Now, what is the benefit? Benefit is financial assistance up to 100 crores for mega, 50 crores for midi and 25 crore for mini types of clusters. You're talking about cluster building here, and here there is a classification in this cluster development program. So one is the mega cluster, area more than 15,000 hectares. Okay, and the midi cluster is basically 5,000 to 15,000 and mini cluster up to 5,000. Okay, so here you'll just remember that when it comes to cluster development program, the financial assistance is different for different clusters. Financial assistance is different for different clusters, and financial assistance is up to 100 crore maximum for mega clusters. That much you can remember, right? Exactly, if you're not able to. So it is 25, 50 and 100. Okay. So who are the beneficiaries in this program? Are farmers beneficiaries in this program? Yes. Traders beneficiaries, traders are also, and agriculture aggregators are also beneficiaries of this program. So all stakeholders in the value chain, including farmers, that is the producers, even traders as well as aggregators, all of them are beneficiaries. Is that okay? Then program implementation structure, National Horticulture Board, which is the nodal agency. It provides funds and oversees the implementation. This is done by National Horticulture Board. It provides funds and oversees the implementation. Cluster Development Agency appointed by the state or the central government for each identified cluster to implement the cluster development program. So on the wider scale, it is the National Horticulture Board, which is the main entity or the implementing agency. And the financial assistance, finance, as well as checking whether you have implemented or not, it is all done by the implementing agency, that is the National Horticulture Board. Okay. What is the main objective? It aims to improve exports of targeted crops by about 20% and create cluster-specific brands to enhance the competitiveness of cluster crops. Enhancing the competitiveness of cluster crops and improving exports of the targeted crops by about 20%. Okay, so this is the main objective. And beneficiaries, all stakeholders in the value chain, including farmers, traders, as well as aggregators, agriculture aggregators, or the farm aggregators. Okay. So if you see the program implementation structure, you need not remember, just for info. Okay, so one is the Horticulture Board, which provides funds and oversees the implementation. Then you have a cluster development agency, which oversees the individual cluster. Okay, and then the cluster development cell, okay, which will check the smooth implementation of the program, and you have these implementing agencies which check the implementation part. Okay, so here we'll at least remember National Horticulture Board, which is important, and the cluster development funding, which is around 100 crore for mega projects and 25 crore for mini cluster. Okay, so what are the areas of focus? Okay, so you have pre-production and production, post-harvest management and value addition, logistics, marketing and branding, everything. So you are building an ecosystem altogether, which includes all these. Okay, and if you see CDP Suraksha for instant disbursal of subsidies to farmers in their bank account by utilizing e-rupee voucher from the NPCI. Okay, so that is. This is fasal bima yojana. Okay. One small scheme here. Scheme for formation and promotion of 10,000 new farmer producer organizations. Okay. So 5,000 farmer producer organizations registered on ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce Portal. Okay. Platform for selling their produce online to the customers across the country. I think everybody should be knowing about this ONDC, a platform created by the government where the farmers can sell their produce. Okay. And what is the main purpose? The scheme for formation and promotion of 10,000 new FPOs or farmer producer organizations. So what is the main purpose of this program? One is leveraging economies of scale and improving market access for members. In the farmer producer organization, a group of entities coming together, you're leveraging on economies of scale. I think everybody knows economies of scale. You'll become efficient, obviously. Okay, beneficiaries, farmer producer organization with a minimum farmer member size of 300 and 100 in northeastern and hilly areas. So this is something like the beneficiaries minimum farmer member size of 300 in plains and 100. And these farmers are registered on under the platform of ONDC. Is that okay? Then implementing agencies, 9 implementing agencies will help forming farmer producer organization. Okay, so this is basically what is the main objective: to promote 10,000 new farmer producer organizations by 2027-28. That is the main objective. Okay, what is a farmer producer organ? This is basic definition here. Farmer producer organization, it includes entities registered under the Companies Act or State Cooperative Societies Act, formed to leverage economies of scale in agricultural production and marketing. So FPO can be registered under the Companies Act or the State Cooperative Societies Act. Group of farmers are participating And it is basically to leverage on economies of scale in agricultural production also, as well as marketing also. So that is the main aspect which you will focus on here. Okay. We'll do finance first. These are all single schemes. We'll come to this later. So let's do finance and then come to. There are some new schemes also here. Some new schemes. The new schemes are little more important in comparison to the old scheme. This is one new scheme. Heard of this scheme? UNATI 2024. Okay, there is one new scheme, newly launched scheme here, that is NPS Vatsalya Yojana. What is this NPS? It's about what? Pension. It is about pension. So here if you see, it is about pension. So now what is the main purpose of this scheme? Vatsalya Yojana. What is the main purpose of the scheme? Making children save or develop the habit of saving. That is the main objective. Okay, so here you can see encouraging early savings for children by opening national pension system accounts. This is the main objective or the main purpose. Okay. Now, obviously, the objective of the government is to enhance social security concept. That is the main objective. For example, here you can see the create a pensioned society and encourage the empowerment of children by inculcating the habit of saving for retirement from an early age. This is the main objective. Is directly asking what is the objective of this Vatsalya Yojana, then it is very easy to mark the answer. It is basically to create a pension society and encourage the empowerment of children by inculcating the habit of saving for retirement from an early age. Okay. Now, a unique permanent retirement account number is issued in the name of the minor. Okay, so that is done. And eligibility, all minor citizens up to 18 years of age. All minor citizens up to 18 years of age. Now, this particular scheme obviously will be regulated by Pension Fund Regulatory Authority of India. Pension Fund Regulatory Authority of India. I hope it is clear. So, two important things here. One, early savings for children, regulated by Pension Fund Regulatory Authority of India. Okay. And all minor citizens up to 18 years. This is the eligibility criteria. And a unique permanent retirement account number is given. Objective is basically to create a pension society and encourage empowerment of children by inculcating the habit of saving. Okay. Now talking about contribution. Okay. So here you can see minimum contribution is how much? 1000, and there is no upper limit. So yearly 1000 minimum and there is no upper limit. This is what is the contribution. Is that okay? Then account opening, banks, account can be opened with banks, India Post or eNPS platform. Here this is where you can open the accounts and the contribution is 1000 rupees minimum, upper limit is not there. Eligibility, minor citizens up to 18 years of age. Okay. Account will be frozen if minimum contribution is not met. Minimum contribution is not met, accounts will be frozen. Closure only upon subscriber's request. You're not closing it, you'll just froze the account. Okay, so when the minimum contribution is not met. Okay, so here are some important observations. Okay, the account is operated by the guardian obviously, with the minor as the sole beneficiary. The guardian automatically becomes the nominee. You don't need separate nomination. Okay, so that is what the account, obvious that is for regular accounts also, that's how it works. Okay, and is there a lock-in period for this account? yes, there is a lock-in period. Lock-in period, you can't remove money for a certain period. That is what is lock-in period. Lock-in period for this account is how much? 3 years. Okay, so up to 25% of the contribution after lock-in period is allowed for education, specified illnesses and disability. Okay, maximum of 3 times you can remove it. Okay, so withdrawal up to 25% of the contribution after lock-in period allowed. So after lock-in period, withdrawal is permitted. Yes, it is permitted for specific purposes like education or illness or disability. That is what. Exit on attainment of 18 years. If the corpus exceeds 2.5 lakh, 80% is used to purchase an annuity and 20% can be withdrawn as a lump sum amount. If the corpus is 2.5 lakh or less, entire amount can be withdrawn. So it is, so withdrawal after attainment of 18 is also dependent on the corpus. If the corpus is exceeding 2.5 lakh, then 80% is used to purchase a annuity, okay, which will give you regular interest, and then 20% can be withdrawn as a lump sum. And if the corpus is 2.5 lakh or less, the entire amount can be withdrawn as a lump sum. Okay. On death, the entire amount would be given to the guardian. So one is here, is it there for NRI? So here NRIs require a separate form and NRE, NRO bank account, but yes. Okay, that is one observation here. And minimum contribution is 1,000. Regulatory body should be clear. Is there a lock-in period for the scheme? 3 years is the lock-in period. After that, so after the lock-in period, complete amount can be withdrawn? No, 25% can be withdrawn, and that too for certain specific aspects. These are some of the facts in that particular scheme. Lock-in period is money is locked for a certain period. You can't remove the money. Locked. Money is locked. Yes, money is locked. Like you have some mutual funds where you can't break. Okay, so these are there are closed funds. You can't remove money. Similarly, here also there is a lock-in period for 3 years. Is that okay? We'll discuss for 2 hours 15 minutes class only. So don't ask for any break. So it's been just 1 hour 20 minutes, right? We'll manage, right? If it is too tiring, then we will take. Too tiring, not for you, for me. Then we'll take a break. But otherwise, we'll in a 2 hour class, if you go, everybody goes out, comes up, comes out. Fine. Wait. Come back, right? Now, this is important this year. Of course, important means 10 years, you know. So, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan, it's been 10 years of Jan Dhan, and therefore, it can be important for the exam. But Madam, I think, has not used, did I mention this? No. Okay, so Madam is not used, but 10 years. Okay, so what is the main object? Everybody knows that financial inclusion is the main objective of Jan Dhan Yojana. Everybody should have a bank account. Every unbanked adult is the focus. Is there accident coverage under Jan Dhan Yojana? Yes, there is accident coverage under Jan Dhan Yojana. That is something which you will remember. Is there overdraft facility under Jan Dhan Yojana? There is overdraft facility. Is that okay? Now, what is the main purpose? To ensure credit to financial services, ensure access to financial services like banking, remittance, credit, insurance, pension in an affordable manner. So from the beginning, we focused on financial inclusion, but we failed, and that is why we have Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan. Okay, government says because of Jan Dhan only, we have achieved something called as almost 100% financial inclusion, almost, close to 100% financial inclusion. Okay, launched in 2014. Okay, it is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is a national mission for financial inclusion. Okay. As per RBI guidelines, any Jan Dhan account is treated as inoperative if there are no customer-induced transactions in the account for over 2 years. Just for some information here. So that account becomes non-operative if there are no transactions done for a period of more than 2 years. Is that okay? Yes. Basic objectives. Okay, so here you can see basic tenets of Jan Dhan, funding the unfunded. So you have access to micro insurance, overdraft facility, pension as well as credit. Sometimes they can see Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan, if you see the pillars of Jan Dhan, pension scheme for unorganized sector, basic savings bank account with overdraft facility of 10,000 to eligible adults. Okay, micro insurance. Okay, financial literacy programs, creation of credit guarantee funds, universal access to other banking services. These are the different pillars. Is there an accident coverage? Yes, there is an accident coverage. Okay, so here you can see securing the unsecured, free indigenous debit cards and a 2 lakh accident insurance coverage for the Jan Dhan account holder. Is that okay? So accident coverage is also there. And then basic savings bank deposit accounts with zero balance, minimal paperwork and simple KYCs. Okay, so is that clear? These are the basic tenets. Then you have Jan Dhan Darshak app, a mobile app to help citizens locate banking touch point like bank branches, ATMs, bank mitras and post offices. Okay, Aadhaar enabled payment system, a bank led model allowing online financial transactions through micro ATMs using Aadhaar authentication, etc. Is that okay? Yes. This is important and madam also used it. That this is basically, this program has been enhanced, which, see, Mudra is basically a refinancing entity. Yes. So there's nothing like, yeah, Jan Dhan accounts you can open. Okay. So here you can see Tarun was there already. Loans above 5 lakhs and up to 10 lakhs under Mudra. But Tarun plus loans above 10 lakhs and up to 20 lakh. Now this is something which you observe here. Okay, it is so the limit of Mudra loans under the Mudra Yojana has been enhanced from current 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs. That is the reason why we are discussing this. It is set up for providing Mudra loans to non-corporate, non-farming, small and micro enterprises. Non-corporate, non-farming, small and micro enterprises. It's a central sector scheme. And who is the beneficiary? Any citizen who has a business plan for a non-farm sector income generating activity. Non-farm sector income generating activity. Is that okay? But in farming activity, are they eligible? No. Allied activities related to agriculture? Yes. Allied activities related to agriculture. Traders, manufacturers. Is that okay? Manufacturing, trading and service sectors and activities allied to agriculture. Are you able to get this? So they are the sectors eligible for loan: manufacturing, trading and service sector and activities allied to agriculture. No, corporates, no. So here basically it is clearly mentioned, we have clearly mentioned it. Okay, so it is set up for providing Mudra loans to the non-corporate, non-farming. Okay, non-corporate, non-farming, small and micro enterprises. Very clear. This is the purpose. Non-corporate, non-farming, small and micro enterprises. Okay, so the scheme aims to provide what? Collateral free access to credit in a seamless manner to micro enterprises in the country. Okay, collateral free access to credit in a seamless manner to micro enterprises in the country. Okay, so in the MSME discussion, again later we will see a lot of reforms in the budget and economic survey with respect to MSME. Okay, but here you can see this is mainly to fund the unfunded by bringing MSMEs to the formal financial system and extending affordable credit to them. Okay, so what are the different mudra loan categories? And when was mudra launched? Mudra was launched basically in 2015, right? Micro Units Development and Refinance Agency Limited. Okay, so that means it is mudra loans are not direct loans, these are kind of what? Refinancing. Like the NABARD. NABARD also will not give direct loans to individuals. It will not give direct loans. So NABARD is basically a refinancing agency. NABARD is also a refinancing agency. What is the meaning of refinance? You are financing the financer. You are financing the financer. Let's say banks are financing and you are financing the bank. You are refinancing, financing the financer. Okay. So if you observe, of course, not all, there are All India financial institutions. Heard of All India financial institutions? How many are there? 5 are there. What are the 5? NABARD, Exim Bank, NABFID, National Housing Bank, and SIDBI. Okay, SIDBI is one entity which can give direct loans to these enterprises. SIDBI. Though SIDBI is basically we can call it as All India Financial Institution, Small Industries Development Bank of India. Okay, so it gives direct loans to some MSME entities. But NABARD will not give direct loans to any individuals. NABARD is purely a refinance. Similarly, if you see Mudra, you can see the word here, micro units development and refinance, right? It provides refinance support to its intermediaries. What are the intermediaries? Banks or microfinance institutions and NBFCs. Even NBFCs also. Observe that, right? Not just banks, but microfinance institutions. You know, I think you should be knowing what are microfinance institutions and also NBFCs. Is that clear? Right? Then mudra loan categories. Okay, so smaller loans should be given more priority, obviously. Why? Because the word itself is what? Micro units development and refinance. Right? So therefore, you see the loan category, highest priority is given to those loans which are small, loans up to 50,000 Shishu, loans above 50,000 and up to 5 lakh. 50,000 and up to 5 is not there. Is that okay? And then Tarun loans above 5 lakh and up to 10. Tarun plus now you have, this is loans above 10 lakh and up to 20. Okay. What are the means through which you can get the mudra loan is basically through banks, NBFCs, okay, MFIs, microfinance institutions, or through Udyam Mitra portal. Udyam Mitra portal. Is that okay? Yes. No need for collaterals because the collateral guarantee is coming from the credit guarantee fund for micro units. This credit guarantee fund which is created for the micro units, this provides the guarantee coverage for these collateral free micro loans. Are you able to get this? For these are collateral free, you are able to give because you have the backup of the credit guarantee fund which is created for the micro units. Interest rate deregulated with a 2% interest subvention on prompt repayment of Sishu loans under the scheme for 12 months with a 2% interest subvention. Interest subvention, everybody knows what is interest subvention? Yes. Interest discount, yes. Okay. Okay, it is, see, Mudra Mitra is a mobile phone application. It guides a loan seeker to approach a banker in availing mudra loan and under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, right? So mudra cards are there, and then mudra offers a 25 basis point interest rate reduction to MFIs, NBFCs, providing loan to women entrepreneurs. Is that okay? There is an additional interest subvention to microfinance institutions and NBFCs, which are giving loans to whom? Women entrepreneurs. Okay, so we never know, such statements might come up, like maybe there is an additional interest rate reduction when these institutions are giving loans to women entrepreneurs. Okay, so that is about Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Tarun Plus, I think the number is clear. Tarun Plus number should be clear, right? So before we discuss this scheme, let's see one question. I think that I have pasted one question. Stand Up India scheme. Is it visible? Okay, so Stand Up India scheme. Yes. Subvention. Deregulation means what? That means the banks can decide the interest rate. Deregulated means you can't impose the interest rate at what rate the banks have to give loan. You have given. Interest subvention means what? Subvention will be given by the outside entity which wants to support the bank. That is, support the bank. You're supporting the bank. Interest subvention is a kind of not a loss for the bank. Reason being, it is because there is money coming from outside through the refinancing agency. Yes. Subvention is support system, but deregulation is banks have the freedom to set the interest rate. You can't say bank give loans at this rate only. Got the point, right? Fine, see there, with reference to Stand Up India scheme, which of the following statements is correct? Is that okay? So this was, okay, this was a previous question, earlier, long back. Okay, so just for some information, which was a simple question only. Now, okay, Stand Up India scheme. The scheme saw flat growth in loans sanctioned during financial year from the previous year. Madam also was talking about this scheme, so that is the reason we are reading. Forget about whether there is sanction, increase, decrease. A recent in January speech, Madam was talking about Stand Up India scheme. Okay, so here, what is the main purpose of the scheme? To promote entrepreneurship at grassroots level, focusing on economic empowerment and job creation. That is the main objective, that main purpose, very clear. And enterprises covered, greenfield enterprise in manufacturing, very important, a greenfield enterprise, a new enterprise in manufacturing, services, agri-allied activities, or the trading sector. Greenfield enterprise in manufacturing, services, agri-allied, okay. Now, which one is the refinancing agency for this program? Okay, so this was there in the question also. This is SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank of India. So implementing agencies should be very clear. Okay, refinancing agency in this case is SIDBI. Okay, so what is the main objective here? Bank loans between 10 lakh and 1 crore to at least one SC or ST borrower and at least one woman borrower per bank branch for setting up a greenfield enterprise. Okay, so this is, so here if you look at the eligibility, SC, ST or women above 18 years of age, right? Loans available for setting up greenfield projects. Is the loan, can loan be given for even service startups? Or is it only manufacturing? All no, is there, we've seen that. Service startups, services, manufacturing, trading, yes. At least 51% stake should be held by an SC, ST or woman entrepreneur for a non-individual enterprise. Okay, so then Is that clear? Suppose if when you're talking about startups, you can register startups not as proprietors also, right? So under such circumstances, 51% stake should be held by an SC, ST or woman entrepreneur. That is something which borrower should not be in default to any bank or financial institution. These are the eligibility criteria. Is that okay? Now, what are the main features? Collateral free coverage. Okay, because a credit guarantee fund for Standup India. There is a credit guarantee fund for Standup India, which is supported by SIDBI. However, the government does not allocate funds for loans under the scheme. Government is not putting money here. Okay. Loan security. Besides primary security, the loan may be secured by the collateral security of guarantee of credit guarantee fund, as decided by the banks. Security is required obviously for the bank because most of the startups fail. Okay, so that is the reason. Other than, so you have this credit guarantee fund for the Startup India, and that is the reason. That is either besides the primary security, the loan may be secured by collateral security or guarantee of CGFSI, as decided by the bank. Of course, rate of interest you can see here. Rate of interest would be lowest applicable rate of the bank for that category. Okay, not to exceed bank's base rate plus 3% plus tenor premium. Okay. This is base. Okay. On top of it, this is the spread. 10%, maybe let's say this is 7% MCLR for a bank. This is 3%. It became like 10%, and let's say tenor premium can be different based on the term of the loan. If the startup loan is for a longer period, then this tenor premium number would be higher. If the startup loan is for a shorter period, then this tenor premium number would be lower. Is that okay? Yes. Loan repayment, the loan is repayable in 7 years with a maximum moratorium period of 18 months, an extension of another 18 months. Okay, so that is. The purpose, I think the question is clear, and provides for refinance through SIDBI. So Stand Up India, important. Mudra is also important. And Pradhan Mantri, Jan Dhan. All the three, madam used. One is 10 years, other two are, madam was using it, and that is the reason they are important. Okay. Okay, Ministry of Consumer Affairs. The scheme here is what? National Food Security Act, okay, 2013. Many times there was a question asked with respect to NFSA. Okay, NFSA had a lot of other problems also. Problems is because you were covering almost like 67% of population. So if you look at the objective of NFSA, and okay, so here if you see the coverage of NFSA is almost like 67% of country's population, 75% of rural and 50% of urban population. So because of this NFSA, India was also about to cross the de minimis level of subsidy, WTO, amber box. And therefore, we also in 2013 only, in the Bali Ministerial Conference in WTO, and we were fighting for reducing the restrictions of WTO's agreement on agriculture. And we arrived at they arrived at a peace clause. They said, okay, fine, because of your National Food Security Act also, if you cross the de minimis level in the amber box, de minimis for developing countries, how much? 10% of its agricultural GDP. 10% of agricultural GDP. If you cross also, they'll not take you to the dispute settlement mechanism. So, peace clause, Bali, and NFSA are linked, National Food Security Act. Okay. Now, Cabinet approved continuation of universal supply of fortified rice and Anganwadi and Poshan 2 and PM Poshan till end of December 28. These are other schemes, we'll talk about that. So mainly what is the purpose? To provide food and nutritional security in human life cycle approach. So here one important observation here. One is food grain benefits. Okay. Second is you also have a life cycle support. So life cycle support is you're talking about maternity benefit. Pregnant women and lactating mothers are entitled for not less than rupees 6,000. Okay, so that is there is a life cycle support in the NFSA? Yes, there is a life cycle support. That is what maternity benefit. Beneficiaries here you can see in the life cycle support is pregnant women, lactating mothers and children between from 6 months to 14 years. Okay, so this is one aspect. So life cycle support as well as the food grain benefits. When we talk about the food grain benefits, the monthly entitlements for the primary households is different from the entitlements for Antyodaya Anna Yojana. AAY, yes. 6,000 rupees, yes. Not less than 6,000, yes. Okay. So monthly entitlements, primary households 5 kg per person, Antyodaya Anna Yojana 35 kg per family. See, Antyodaya Anna Yojana means you are targeting people who are poorer than BPL. Poorer than BPL is the target here. Okay. And central issue price. So the price at which they get the grain basically. Okay. The price at which basically the central government is also supplying the grain to the states. Okay. And the price which, this is central issue price, the price at which they are buying the grain. Rice around 3 rupee per kg, wheat and coarse grains. Okay. So here you can see what are the main focus that is there. One is you have a grievance redressal mechanism. Okay, women empowerment, food security allowance. Food security allowance means what? Compensation for non-supply of entitled food grains or meals. Okay, that is food security allowance. Okay. Is there a sugar subsidy given to Antyodaya families? Okay, so this is something which you, in addition to 35 kg of food grains per month, Antyodaya households also receive 1 kg of sugar per family per month through the targeted public distribution system. TPD, a targeted public distribution system. Okay, that means the sugar subsidy that is given to Antyodaya families is up to 31st March 2026. Okay, so one is the life cycle support, remember. Okay, another one which you have to remember would be the food grain distribution. And food grain distribution, obviously, it is different for the primary households. Primary households is like the BPL and Antyodaya Anna Yojana, those covered under AAY. Okay. Maternity benefit, is it there as part of National Food Security Act? Yes. National Food Security Act covers how much percent of the population? Almost like 67%, almost like 75% of rural population and 50% of urban population, which falls under which ministry? Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So this is some data here. Now there are some key initiatives here. Of course, these are not part. I think you will discuss them in the Ministry of Education. Okay, Yes. No. NSS household consumption data. Yeah. Okay, and who is going to identify? Yes. Okay. Fine. See, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, free food grains to about 81 crore NFSA beneficiaries being provided for a period of 5 years. This was very important during COVID. Okay, so, and here you can see this Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman. Okay, formerly the midday meal scheme for providing hot meals for government and government aided schools. Here, of course, we'll discuss this. I think we will discuss this in the under which ministry? Ministry of Education. Ministries. Okay, so just a glance here. Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2. Okay, so nodal implementing ministry would be Ministry of Women and child development. You will discuss them in the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Beneficiaries would be children, adolescent girls, pregnant women and lactating mothers. Okay, so combating malnutrition among children, adolescent girls, pregnant women and lactating mothers. Okay. This is also, again, you will discuss this in your Ministry of Women and very important ministry. Very important ministry for UPSC. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. I think there was a question also asked. Yes, yeah, last year, yes. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Which one? Yes. See, Antyodaya, that means as part of NFSA, we are distributing to one BPL, APL, mainly primary households is BPL. And also grains given to those who are poorer than BPL, that is Antyodaya Anna Yojana. So the rates are little different for them. Yes. Okay. Yes, yes. That was basically that point of time. It was basically launched. I think it was around COVID period. Okay, this is completely free. This is completely free. Garib Kalyan is completely free, but this is not free. They have to pay for this. Yeah. The price is less, but it's not free. Whether even the primary households also. Which one? Yeah. Yes, yes. These are the quotas which they get at subsidized price, yes. Okay, so next scheme, one or two schemes here. This is all, we have only one scheme here under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, so it is UNATI 2024. It is a newly launched scheme. Okay, and what is the main focus? It is basically a complete industrialization scheme, or you can call it as you're creating an ecosystem in the Northeast. You're creating an industrial ecosystem in the Northeast. Okay, so here you can see to strengthen the industrial ecosystem in the Northeastern region, and only when there is an ecosystem, new investments will move. And it is a central sector scheme, up to 2034. And the nodal agency, Northeastern Development Financial Corporation for the disbursal of incentives. That is the nodal agency. So Unnati is basically to come up to create an industrial ecosystem in the Northeast. That is what we have to remember. Okay. And what is the main objective? Socio-economic development by creating gainful employment opportunities in the Northeastern areas. That is the objective. Okay. Now, what is the eligibility for availing incentives? Okay, eligibility for availing incentives, there is some criteria here, but at least you'll remember maximum eligible benefits to a single unit from all components of the scheme. All components means you have three components in the scheme. One is you have the capital investment incentive. That means you are putting in the initial investment for the business. There is an incentive support, financial support for new and expanding units. Financial support for new as well as expanding unit, not just new, but also expanding units. This is the initial capital incentive, capital investment incentive. Then you also have capital interest subvention. Capital interest of financial relief for new and, so this is basically interest subvention. Okay, you are arranging capital at a cost, there is an interest subvention. Okay, then you have manufacturing and services linked incentive, exclusively for new units. This is exclusive for new units. Manufacturing and services led incentive. This is separately given only for new. This is capital investment incentive. Capital investment incentive is given not just for the new, but also when you're expanding. Okay, that is one. And the maximum eligible benefits to a single unit from all these three, putting all the three together also, the maximum eligible benefits to a single unit from all components of the scheme is how much? 250 crore. Single unit from all components. It can't be more than that. Okay, so is that clear? Yes. That's sufficient. Okay, you can't remember eligibility of availing incentives, manufacturing 1 crore in plant and machinery, 50 lakhs in construction of. Okay, so at least maximum, what are the main areas? Okay, and what is the objective? Okay, and central sector scheme, and what is the purpose of UNATI scheme? Attracting new investments by building a industrial ecosystem in the northeastern region. उड़े देश की आम नागरिक. Okay. Udan. This is a very old. You have multiple things here. If you see Udan, you have Udan 5. Here you can see removed the 600-kilometer cap and prioritize ready to operate airports 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. Okay, so you have so many extensions. Okay, but let's first of all, obviously it falls under which ministry? So to enable air operations on undeserved, unserved routes, promote balanced regional growth and make flying affordable to masses. Okay, so that is the main purpose. And it is a central sector scheme, and implementing agency would be Airport Authority of India. Airport Authority of India. Support to airlines is in the form of concessions and viability gap funding. Now, to fill the viability, to collect funds, some extra charges are levied on certain routes, and government is collecting the fund. Okay, so it's not government is earning by putting some additional charges. Okay, so that is what is happening here. Okay, so here you can see the objective, the scheme focuses on improving unserved air routes in undeserved regions of the country. Okay. It was launched under the National Civil Aviation Policy 2016 and subsidized seats. Example, Udan 5.0 airfare is capped at 3,828 for distance of 500 to 525. Okay, the 600-kilometer cap has been removed. Now there is no distance restriction. No distance restriction when it comes to this. Okay, so earlier there was a distance restriction, now that is also not there. Okay, now government, now you have this regional connectivity fund. What is a regional connectivity fund? It funds the viability gap funding. Okay, so this regional connectivity fund which has been created will fund the VGF. VGF funding generally, you should be knowing viability gap funding comes for PPPs, public-private partnerships. Okay, so viability gap funding through a levy on certain domestic flights. Through a levy on certain domestic flights, you are collecting money, and this is, you are building this RCF, and that will be used for funding the VGF funds. Focus of Udan 4 is basically prioritize connectivity with northeast hilly states and islands with helicopters and seaplanes, just for information. Okay, Krishi Udan supports farmers in transporting agricultural products to boost value realization, focusing on northeast and tribal districts. Krishi Udan, this is basically supports farmers in transporting agriculture products. Okay, to boost value realization, focusing on northeast and tribal districts. Right. Okay. Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Last one or two schemes. Now here, Union Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers and Health and Family Welfare inaugurated a credit assistance program for Jan Aushadhi Kendras. So Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Jan Aushadhi and the Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers. Okay. To provide quality generic medicines at affordable prices to the masses. That is the main purpose. Main purpose. Is that okay? Yes. Type central sector scheme. And implementing agency Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Bureau of India. Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Bureau of India. What is the main objective? Expand access to affordable quality generic medicines. Affordable generic medicines. Now, what are the product basket? Product basket for the program, if you see, it includes Ayurvedic immunity boosters, surgical devices, and medicines for major therapeutic areas like cardiovascular, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, etc. Are you able to get this? So, Jan Aushadhi scheme was revamped in 2015 as Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Yojana and renamed as PM BJP in 2016. Okay, fine. Product basket includes Ayurvedic immunity boosters, surgical devices, etc. Okay, so, and it is set up by pharma PSUs as an independent society under Societies Registration Act. Which one is set up? The implementing agency. Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Bureau of India, which is the implementing agency. It is set up by pharma PSUs as an independent society under the Societies Registration Act. Okay, here you can see some incentive structures. See this? Maximum of rupees 15,000 per month. Okay, that you can remember. Okay, or total incentive pool is 5 lakhs, 15% of monthly purchases, maximum of 15,000 per month. Okay, is this clear? That's all then. We'll stop here. We'll continue in the subsequent class. So I think we have covered finance, chemical and fertilizer, agriculture, Ministry of Civil Aviation. We did only one only. That we have only one scheme here. Then Consumer Affairs, National Food Security Act. Which ministry? Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Okay, that's all. Thank you.